In my never-ending quest to play all the MMOs and just general games that interest me, I found myself playing V Rising again, and it's just so damn good. For those of you who don't know, V Rising is a settlement survival game. Basically, you're a vampire, you build yourself your own castle, you try to survive either other players or PvE content, as well as trying to obviously take on world bosses and foes to try and grow in power and unlock new abilities or things to craft to try and extend your reach. The game is a hack and slash style of game with obviously equipment that you equip onto your vampire, as well as an interesting day and night cycle. This isn't the first time that I've played V Rising. I played V Rising a couple of months ago and it was nice. I really enjoyed it, but it didn't catch me the same way due to the developers pushing with publicity to try get more people to play their new patch Gloomrot. I got interested to play, but I waited for the excitement and all the streamer hype to die down and then delved into it myself. And I have to admit, it is ridiculously good. This game, especially the fact that it's still in early access, has no right to be as good as what it is. V Rising is highly addictive, very rewarding, and probably one of the games that I feel like a lot of people might have written off a bit too early, being vampire themed and possibly not their style of game. I feel like this game is definitely a gem, and the fact that it's still in early development means it's only going to get better from here. Now, what makes this game so damn good? I think I'm trying to break it down because this time around it has truly caught me. I've played it right to end game and finished the game and absolutely just loving it. And I'm trying to pinpoint exactly where I feel that they've really improved. First of all, I think a reason why the game didn't catch me in the beginning was I played on pure PvE mindset. Even though I was playing a LAN server game, it's actually quite important to change the advanced settings at the beginning of the game to try and make things a little bit cheaper. The reason being that a lot of these games are built for PvP or PvE large-scale servers. This means that it is quite grindy in some ways because you're obviously combating against other players. But if you are playing a solo world, going in here, reducing some of the costs of certain things, or maybe the yield output, increasing the yield outputs, could be a very good way to make sure that you're not feeling like the game is wasting your time. But don't go overboard. That's my advice. On one of my previous playthroughs, I went a bit overboard and it also destroyed the game in the sense of things just didn't feel as valuable or as meaningful if it's too easy. Another component to the game that I really like is the boss system. Being able to track and fight bosses, and when killing bosses, unlocking new structures, new recipes, new spells. This system is so good, especially the fact that it doesn't just point out where they are on the map. It allows you to track them, and that kind of also creates the aesthetic of tracking your foe and preparing for the fight. It is such a good system. Another system that I really like is obviously the spells. Being able to unlock spells through beating foes or finding the spell books in general, as well as modifying the spells so that you can play the way you want to play. Another component to the game that I really liked was the vampire powers that you unlock. All the shape-shifting abilities as well as blood powers. I felt like that was such a reward for beating certain bosses in the game, and just something that made the game so fun to play, and also not too tedious to get back to your body when you do die. Another system that I thought was absolutely brilliant was the servant system. Being able to send servants on a mission. Now in most games, like especially in World of Warcraft, I really hated the whole mobile game aesthetic of it. I felt like it really detracted from the game itself. However, with this, especially on a solo world, I feel like it's just such a nice way of getting some materials that you really need just to alleviate some of the PvE grinding that kind of can feel a bit monotonous and boring. Being able to send your followers out on a mission, allow them to gather resources while you're not even in the game, and come back is just something that I really thought was a good touch. It felt like it was a way that the developer was respecting your time, and obviously the crafting. The crafting is so good in this game that almost every single resource, even the smallest things like copper that can be processed into other materials that can be used further on down the line into further materials. It's just such a good system. They've really thought about the entire circle of how crafting works. And being able to craft a weapon feels so massive and meaningful, especially at endgame, allowing you to craft some of these absolute Goliath weapons. This game has got so much variety, and I love the playstyle of each weapon. It really feels like each weapon has so much unique gameplay to it, and it really allows you to play the game the style you want to play. And probably the biggest positive are the boss fights. In V Rising, every boss feels unique, all mechanics feel very creative, and it's always so much fun to try figure out how your playstyle can deal with certain bosses. Every single weapon set will give you a different feel to each boss. Some weapon styles and some sets of tactics might favor one boss, but all in all, you'll have to adjust your playstyle to try overcome every single obstacle. I really enjoyed every single boss fight in this game. In fact, I had a Rocky moment where I double punched myself and a boss out at the same time, and I managed to get back and absorb his blood just before he respawned, and it was probably my favorite fight. Every single fight is sweaty palms, intense fighting time, and trying to overcome and try to outsmart the boss. But these are just my thoughts, and I've hoped you've enjoyed the video. If you haven't, thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Cheers.